Yo, it's Thursday, October 20th. When did October disappear so quickly? Today we're talking about GM's Hummer Lite vehicle, Netflix Plus, kind of, and a tale of retail tech. Ooh, it's been a while since we've ripped off a headline just like that.
That was strong. It was just like
good.
Felt right. Yeah.
Felt good.
Right.
Yeah, dude, I was like October 20th. It's the 20th?
That's unbelievable to me. I don't know why.
September just
I don't know why
ended.
I get to certain dates and you just kind of feel like it's not real, which I think part of it is like like you and I, we go through these like event seasons and it's like everything was targeted towards September. That was ASOTU. Now everything's targeted toward November because we're going to Modern Retail Conference, right? And it's just like all these things converge on that. And so October is just like, whoop, whoop, whoop,
I
whoop.
guess.
Yeah.
I know. I don't know. I guess
so
years
sad
go
about
faster.
I feel
It's
like
just-
I need to console you.
I guess it's the 20th. We have a lot of great stuff coming up. Actually, next week we're going to be in Atlanta at Glenn Lundy's 800% Club. We're going to be hanging out with Patrick Abad in Beaver Toyota because that's where the event's going to be held. And we're going to be making some content with our boy Michael Cirillo the night before. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, we will bring you all the good stuff. We're going to be setting up a podcast booth, and we're going to be launching a new podcast. We haven't talked about this publicly, but it's going to be called In the Dirt with ASOTU, and it's going to basically be comprised of whenever we're on the ground. Like we were at NAMAD, we're going to take all the NAMAD content that we recorded, talking to dealers, and we're going to package that up, and we're going to give it to you as a podcast, as well as some other content. We have video, audio, and then the snippets. And then we were like, how are we going to put all these things in a bucket? Because we go so many places. We're like, well, let's just make it one podcast that is whenever we're on the ground, in the dirt. We're going to put everything. So that's
it's not live yet. But it'll be soon.
No,
it'll be real soon.
It'll be live.
So put the art together and get the video edited and all
write
that
the
stuff,
description. Write the description. Oh man. Well, we have a few things to talk about today. This is a fun one. GM is considering a new concept to its Hummer line, a mid-size EV pickup. There haven't been a lot. I mean, I guess is the Rivian RT1 considered a mid-size pickup?
I don't know. I mean, it is kind of like a smaller structure. I feel like that, but I don't know what you consider that. Now, it's really funny because if you link through to the article, it's kind of like it's termed as the people close to the matter. So it's obviously people that have been kind of undisclosed, and it's kind of in the back channels. But there's a concept car that's come out. It's been talked. The talk is a couple reasons. One, because like they recognize expanding through this Hummer line because of the interest in the Hummer. They've had 90,000 reservations for a vehicle priced at $110,000. So there's obviously interest. And then they've got the opportunity to press into like European countries because that's where like typically smaller SUVs and pickups make it over there. And so it's just kind of this rumblings around, but it is clear that GM is not backing down on their strategy to press into the EV market. We've reported on this before, but they're spending, man, it's crazy to even talk about, but
comes the billion number again,
$35 billion, right? In 3 years, just on EV technology. That's not even pointing to what they're doing for 2030, 2035. That's just by 2025 to make sure that they've got kind of all the manufacturing, all the, all the concepting out of the way, the research and development, the charging, the battery, their skateboard style battery that they've got. So I think it's the Ultium battery. Is that it? So, yeah. Super interesting. You know what the crazy stat here is, Paul? It's not 90,000 reservations. It's not $110,000. It's not 35 billion. That's not the crazy stat. It's that all that for 781 vehicle deliveries by the end of last month.
So far. Yeah. Well, I mean, it is October 20th. So they
probably got 100
days.
more. So, something like that.
I really wonder what we're going to say about this era in 10 years from now, or 20 years from now, or 40 years from now. I can't think of another time or even industry where the tide has turned so rapidly to something that has been done a certain way for 100 years. And is like, I feel like within like a 9-month window, it's just been like afterburners on, and just this is the way it's going to be, with so far fairly little evidence of it being sustainable into the future.
Right. I mean, we'll not even get started on the whole battery thing, but what's wild to me is like this has been something it's come up before. I mean, everyone kind of talked when the Leaf came out, the Nissan Leaf. They're like, "Oh, it's coming. Now it's rocking and rolling." And even back in the 1990s, Nissan and Mazda were really looking at battery technology. They were really pressing that boundary, and it didn't happen then. But it's just like all the energy is behind it. It's a wild new proposition, but again, like you said, there's just not a ton of results because we're trying to do this thing in the middle of chip shortages and inventory shortages and delivery shortages and staffing shortages and all of that. And so we'll see how it plays out. But
I mean, that's the part of it. That's the part of it because you like try to make sense of like, is it the tail wagging the dog right now, or is we've talked about this before? Is demand is what pushing the EV technology forward? It doesn't seem like it. There seems to be a lot of skepticism. So it's like, what is actually behind it? And it's hard to make sense of that with the chip shortage and political climate and China, right? I don't know. All I know is that we're going that way, whether we like it or not.
Whether we like it or not.
And we'll be right there in the middle of that scrum. Speaking of, oh, geez. I thought I had one and I lost it.
You didn't have
I didn't have. It's okay. I'm just going to go. Stop. We're just going to stop. We're not going to play it. I'm just going to tell myself to stop. Oh, well, here's a good one with ads gate. And that's the one.
We haven't given it that one in a hot minute.
Sad trombone.
It happened.
Sad trombone. Well, it is the 20th, so I don't know what that means.
There you go.
But so here we go with ad generation, ad placements, and gated multi-logins on the horizon. Netflix announced an increase of 2.4 million subscribers in Q3 after 2 quarters back-to-back of losses and the stock diving and people questioning it. Netflix saying, hold on. We know it's going to be a little rough for a minute, but we're coming back. Now, most of the new subscribers came from outside the US. And basically, here's a quote from the earnings call. After a challenging first half, we believe we're on a path to re-accelerate growth. The key is pleasing members. Well, yeah. Well, I guess that is kind of the key when you're subscription-based company.
Stockholders, is what I hear in the next couple things. Netflix, they generated about $7.9 billion in revenue. Interestingly enough, their net revenue was actually down last quarter, but that gross revenue was up about 6% year over year. The company also has recently announced that they're not gonna target subscriber count as their metric for success. They're gonna go target revenue, which is really it's obvious to me as to why they're doing that and why they're kind of positioning that way because of the introduction to ads. And the introduction of in early 2023, they're going to go global with this, with the multi-login gating. So you can't
explain that for a second. Multi-login gating.
Right now, if you got Netflix, either you're the host
know who you are,
or you're the leech, right? And I'm not going to point out any of those people, but you know who you are, right? And so they're going to crack down on that pretty hard. They're going to streamline that, reduce the amount of logins, where those logins happen from. And make sure that people are at least paying an additional subscriber fee for those additional logins. So, it's interesting that's obviously 2 massive revenue generation opportunities that aren't attached to pure subscriber growth. So it's, they're obviously heading in the direction of their decision making when they're communicating with shareholders right now.
I mean, and I've seen some people like, oh, well, you might not want to report subscriber growth because of the roller coaster it took you on. But I mean, to the people who are saying that, it's just like Netflix makes a really great case, right? The revenue is the subscriber growth was the revenue metric, period.
Yep.
That's it. It was period. They're changing some things. I think they're going to do good with the ads. Yep. I think they're
and I mean, Disney said they're coming with it. Like everyone's coming with it. It is funny to me. It's like everyone went for the, cutting the cord, and Netflix is going, you're going to have about 4 to 5 minutes for an hour worth of watching TV of ads.
Yep.
If you go with the ad supported tier, which is basically like TV. So
yeah, right. 20 minutes an hour, right. 20 minutes an hour, but you'll get it. I wonder if they're still going to do the tiers with the resolution for Netflix. That's the thing that makes me like to have to pay is. You should have seen how offended my 16-year-old son Miles was.
I'm sure
when he was like, You have to, like, when he saw there were actually 3 resolution tiers, he almost lost his mind. First of all, he's like, why would anyone ever pay for standard definition anything? Right? It's like, that's like, I'm not watching it anymore if we're at 480 or whatever it is. So we'll see what that comes out. I think they're going to do a good job with the ads. It's a reasonable structure, and it's good to see they're back on the horse, and we'll see what happens. I guess.
Let's tie it back. Let's tie it back real quick, because from automotive and retail, you're like, okay, why do things like ad supported tiers and gated multi logins and things like, you know, their total subscriber count, is you just look around and you're like, all of these things that people are kind of getting hit with, and these like little ads here, little ads there, little changes to the environment that they're in, and like, what value is getting provided on the other side of that? Like, what value to the consumer? And so my thought is always, when you're going to shift something, when you're going to move something, change how people interface with the way that you do business, it better be extremely calculated, well communicated, and there still better be an additional layer of value added in at any point. Because
there you go.
And that's what people will stay sticky. So you can make changes. You have to continue to add the additional values of layers of value to continue to keep customers coming back.
That's a great tie-in. Speaking of customers coming back,
Stop. Segue.
How to get that one?
Come on.
I needed something solid to rebound from the sad trombone. According to a new study from retail research company Payments, it's spelled Pymnts, very clever.
Naturally.
Big retailers say they need more tech to deliver a better customer experience. More. And these are the retailers that we're talking about in general. Automotive needs to be more like general retail. Well, even the general retailers are saying we need more tech. American retailers use an average of 5.3 digital tools. Kyle, what do you think the average is for retailing tools in automotive?
39.5. All disjunct, and they don't talk to each other. Something like that.
So I think that's probably the whole moral of the story right there. We can just get to the average retail of 5.3, and that'll probably solve 90% of our problems. But get this. So if average American retailers are using 5.3 digital tools, only those who are using less than 3 digital tools, only 17% of them say they're happy with their customer experience that they're delivering.
Wow.
So that means they're using too few, right? So there's kind of this sweet spot. Since March of 2020, a record number of customers began using things like online ordering and curbside pickup. A lot of those because of safety concerns, right? Like, I don't want to go in the store. We're going to do curbside pickup. But most of those people say that's a habit they're going to continue. And the kind of like the punchline to this whole thing was, despite, you know, the retailers saying like, yes, we need more tech. We need to do that to make the customer experience better. Overall tech spending actually dropped last year.
You know, it's interesting because I think if I could like read into some of these companies saying that they need more tech, and even thinking about the automotive landscape, when people say like, we need more tech, it's not just more, it's better and more dialed in tech that actually like does the consumer experience the way that we want to have, like our personal consumer experience, and the way we want to give a consumer experience. So I think it may not be just like, we need more. It's, we need more of better. We need to like leap forward into tech that's focused on the consumer experience, tying in consumer journeys across platforms. And what that does is enable both employees and customers to do business better with the company. And so I think that's probably like my perception on when people say they need more tech.
That's a good insight.
They need more tech in the overall.
They just need to do better.
Find the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they're saying there's still room.
Someone go make something more because I need that. Right.
Yeah.
Whatever.
They don't mean quantity more. They mean quality more.
Yes.
Hey, it's the 20th. If you haven't heard already, you have a lot to do before this month is over. I don't know if I'm going to say go find some more tech, but go try to find some better tech at least.